has to be some common sense.
Yes, sir. They have the car stopped at 10th and Ranch Microwire there.
We still don't know who pulled the trigger.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon, and I'm a retired NYPD sergeant, 27-year veteran. And with me tonight, retired NYPD detective and straight out of Brooklyn, Phil Grimaldi. How you doing tonight, Phil?
I'm doing pretty good, Billy. How you doing?
Doing very well. And I see Doug Bishop is on deck. He's in the bullpen. And Doug, I'm glad I'm going to put you right on the screen right now. Doug, welcome to the show. Great to see you.
Likewise. Thanks for having me on, gentlemen.
Welcome, Doug.
Doug, you know, it's I always see when that great beard you have, I always think of ZZ Top. You know, you play guitar?
I do not play guitar. I get the ZZ thing a lot.
Yeah, you could have stood in for him, but then if you didn't play, you know. But it's so, you know, we've been following you guys obviously since the recent cases, and we just want to say the amazing work you guys do, and we've said it numerous times on our show that you guys do God's work. And we have another you know, of course, Midwest Equus, those guys, same kind of thing. They recover people, they provide closure for families that otherwise wouldn't have it, and the police can't do it all, and the private sector and organizations like yours, they fill that void where the police don't have the manpower. They may not have the talent, the ability, the money. They may not have the training to do it, and you guys fill that void, and you do it very well.
Yeah, thank you. That's absolutely very well said. You know, volunteer organizations can be critical in what law enforcement is able to do, as you see it with us. I do think there's definitely some professionalism that has to come along with it, and so forth. But like you said, you know, there's a lot of times the departments don't have the resources, or you know, it's funding issues, dealing with, you know, numbers, you know, that are in the department and so forth, and all that other stuff that's going on right now, or there's resources and just a lack of expertise with those resources.
You know, 100%. We had a retired NYPD detective, Mike Carew, on our show, who was also a master diver. He was a former scuba diver, but he owns a dive shop in the Bronx on City Island. And he was very impressed with you guys also. And he said that even, you know, like, there's problems with policing in chain of custody. That's a problem. And whenever you recover evidence, the police really have to recover it, because if the case becomes criminal, they will have to testify to it. So that's where they would have to work alongside you guys and set up some kind of protocols to use in the event. Well, every case you have to treat as if it is going to be a criminal case.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Until proven otherwise, you know, it's always worst case scenario, because like you said, you got to protect that evidence in case it has to be, you know, used against someone in a court of law.
100%. Phil?
Yeah, we don't advocate many volunteer groups, so to speak, but between you guys, Dave Rader that works with Midwest Equus, you guys are obviously professional. I watched some of the videos. You guys did some fantastic work in recovery of vehicles and giving closure to families. Can't say enough about it. And again, you guys are volunteering your time. And I think the critical thing is that a lot of the police departments around the country just don't have the manpower, as you said, Doug. A lot of they're small police departments, and they don't run into these type of situations where they have to look for a vehicle, let's say in a body of water or something like that. Whereas the larger police departments like the NYPD, we have a unit that's specifically assigned the scuba unit, the harbor unit. They work They're, they handle the waterways, and they have the scuba teams. So again, they practice, they drill a lot, and they probably have a level of expertise that would probably come in close to you guys. Obviously, you guys had the better equipment in this. That you guys recovered the victim's vehicle. So again, it's not that the police departments don't want to, find these people or conduct these searches. They have the manpower sometimes to do it, but they don't have the technical equipment. A hat tip and salute to you guys. You've been doing some great work, and it's really, really important that you're out there. We really, really, and I think everybody that around the country should really appreciate you guys and all the work you do.
And thank you, Phil. That means a lot. We highly respect what the NYPD, Harbor unit there. They're like among the top in the world at what they do. But you guys have a $13 billion budget, and that's huge. These most of the country, they don't have that budget, and
Sure.
they're penny pinching, and the personnel doesn't exist. But I can tell you, most of the time, when we come into these cases and where we have these discoveries, the authorities are electing to utilize us to command the evidence removal or extraction of the vehicle, due to like what you just said, like we do this all the time. So what they understand, yeah, they got a great dive unit, but they understand also that their dive unit may have, never recovered a car on this level when it comes to protecting evidence in a car, or may have only done it a few times, which is great because we're there to help be a resource for free, but also share what it is we do and how we do it. It's not a ego thing ever with us, and it's great to work alongside law enforcement and helping them in these situations, and also teaching them. We're getting into a lot of that as well, because what we do is rare. It's unorthodox too. It's out of the box style of doing things with some of our tactics, and it's really refreshing to see so many agencies reaching out and wanting to learn.
Doug, one of the things that I wanted to ask you, and I won't refer to the case that you, when you clear a body of water,
Mhm.
how are you satisfied that you've searched that to the best of your ability and that what you're looking for is not there? So what are the steps? What are the parameters in declaring this body of water is cleared?
99% of the stuff that we search, we are amazingly confident that we've cleared it 100%. There are specific types of water that has, an extreme amount of growth per se, and you just can never be 100% in a body of water like that. However, we're really good at manipulating the sonar systems to give us good imaging, and we're fully prepared. We also understand that no matter what we do, it's a successful search, because if we're not finding what we're looking for, we're ruling it out. So it means a lot just to rule an area out. If we can come to town and work with a detective or a family and eliminate areas in a case, that's a huge step forward in that case. That case, those connected to the case, the family, and those agencies can now apply resources and manpower in a more efficient way elsewhere to better serve the case. So it's when we come in and we rule something out, we feel really good about that. That's a huge success.
Doug, that's what investigation is. It's process of elimination.
Absolutely. I was thinking
Eliminating process. Yeah. I
Yes,
mean,
I say that
eliminating.
a lot. I say
Yeah.
that a lot because we can go from, there's cases. I mean, there was a case, last month that we searched 72 bodies of water in 2 days. And, I just kept telling my
Right.
guys, like, look, this is a process of elimination. Every body of water that we rule out here is one step closer to helping provide answers in this case. On to the next, ruling it out. It's like, I love that term, process of elimination.
Absolutely. Something that, when we talk about investigative checklists, sometimes you may not want to do one of the steps in the checklist, but guess what? That's what we're talking about. That's how you eliminate possibilities. You know, we just had that horrible case in Memphis, Eliza Fletcher. Horrible. I mean, I felt like I was back in homicide working that case. It really hurt my heart, that case. It really did. And the point is, in the beginning of that case, they were looking at the husband.
Mm-hmm.
And now when we learned what happened, we ruffled some feathers. Sorry. But you know something, if they didn't do that, they would be remiss in their duties as investigators.
Yes. You know, and in that scenario, that's always going to be the case unless there's evidence directing the investigation elsewhere. Next of kin is going to be obvious number one target, person of interest, best friends, you know, the person closest to that individual. Because a lot of times in those cases, it is somebody that knows the victim. And that was, but hats off to MPD and the FBI, man, they were on that. They had that suspect within 72 hours. And even myself, you know, I thought that, hey, this is a really suspicious case. We have an heiress to a $1 billion fortune. So that in itself leads you to that rabbit hole and having to clear that. But outside of that, man, the guy, you know, he was caught on camera. They tracked him through intersection. They had the evidence, her phone, you know, her water jug, her shoes there at the scene where he took her, and they were able to track him to his residence and then track his phone through the neighborhood right with the house where he dumped the body. And they got there and they were instantly able to see the tracks in the yard, and they could unfortunately smell the decomposition. And that was huge investigative effort there, success. And come to find out now he's just a really, really rotten individual, bad individual. He's connected to another rape already. And it wouldn't surprise me if there aren't more, you know,
Doug, I did a show the other night on that because there was a rape kit that was submitted on September 21st, 2021. And it actually was handed to TBI on September 23rd. And it sat on a shelf for months and months, untested. And it came back 49 months later to the defendant who killed Eliza Fletcher. And had that been put in as a rush, he may have been incarcerated. He may have been arrested. And like you said, he probably did more rapes that we don't even know about because they went unreported.
Yeah,
he was out for 2 years. What was he doing for 2 years? He wasn't a good boy for 2 years.
No, especially when you take into the testimony that come forward from people in the neighborhood and his demeanor towards, you know, his neighbors and young women there.
Absolutely right.
I mean, I would expect that to come out because I'm sure they had him. They realized he was the culprit. He's a bad guy. What else has gone on in this area? And they tied that crime and hurry up and had it tested. That's a sad case, really tragic, unfortunate circumstance. You know, anytime somebody loses their life, it's tragic, but you know, she just wanted to be out exercising. You know, it's a shame.
You know, she's what we would call in the homicide business as a real victim too. She was a real, you know, not that there's not real victims, but she was a mom. She was a kindergarten teacher.
100% innocent. 100% innocent.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And, you know, I'm amazed. And whenever we cover these cases, and I always say to a lot of people here, and I get pounded by a lot of people that people wanted to write a book on that case about what happened before the evidence was in. You know what I mean? People are already making up scenarios. Oh, the ransom is going to come in. You know, her husband hired this guy. You know, there was all kinds of nonsense, you know. And I said, look, the lady is missing, but let's wait for the evidence. There's evidence. And I was shocked and amazed, frankly, that the DNA came back in 18 hours. That is unbelievable.
That was super quick.
Yeah, that's the power of having the FBI involved in such a high profile case. Because if not, you guys know that stuff can take a long time. Yeah, a long time. And that's just it's always great. It's a bad thing when you see the FBI involved, but it's a good thing because
they got the money, they got the big bucks. Say it.
Yeah. And they're not
deep pockets, but not the not the greatest of investigators, but we'll talk about that another time.
Right.
You know, I wanted to make a point about when we eliminate suspects or eliminate people as being involved in the case, that's really, really important for the prosecution. And that's down the line. You make an arrest on something, and a lot of times a defense attorney will bring up, well, did you look at the husband, or did you look at this individual that, you know, sometimes in an investigation, it could be pointing in one direction, and then you go in that direction when you see that person has an alibi, and you declare that person not being involved in it. That's very important. Because now you go down the line 2 years, you make an arrest on a case, you go to trial, and the defense attorneys, all they have to do is bring up a little bit of doubt, reasonable doubt, whether a person is responsible for and committed the actual murder or the case, whatever it is. And you can find where, you know, they'll say, well, did you look at the husband? And you could say, yes, you know, we did, you know, intensive interviews, and we backed up his story, and we backed up his alibi, whatever the case may be. So those things, even though they don't seem like they're that important in the beginning of the case, when they really are, they're important to the whole case, because of the fact that down the line, you get a defense attorney might let some guy walk on a technicality because of something that wasn't done. You know, a simple follow-up, you know, someone gives you a story, you need to follow up that story, corroborate it, check that person's alibi or whatever it is. So again, those things that we do in the beginning, usually, like we said, a lot of times on homicide investigation, it's someone that was close to the person. So we will talk to the person that reported it, the husband, the wife, or some close relative, to try and get a story, and then we'll corroborate their story. And if everything checks out, then we go in the direction that the investigation is taking us. And that's just, you know, practical homicide investigation.
Yeah.
You know, Doug, I just want to also talk about that fine line you guys walk between what you do and maybe stepping on law enforcement. And I recognize that, and I appreciate what you do. And I think you guys are very, very careful not to step on anybody. And I think that, but look, I worked in law enforcement for 27 years. I know how hard some people in law enforcement are to get along with, and how unreasonable some people can be. But you guys have to walk that tightrope, because basically you are guests in the crime scene.
100%. We are guests, and we understand that. We also we take what we do very seriously. So we're trying to professionalize it. We see a future in it. There's a lot of good comes from our skill set. Thankfully, with the success that we've had, law enforcement all over is realizing that. If I have a scene and I've called police in, and if I have 5 representatives there, 3 of them know who we are. And that helps a lot. It helps a whole lot. And it's, you know, we're pro law enforcement every step of the way. Unfortunately, man, and I hate it. No matter what we do, when we find somebody, there comes a level of controversy. How come these guys found it and you guys couldn't? Whether it's 2 weeks or 30 years, we bring that to the table, and we don't want to bring that to the table. And if there's any agencies out there that are listening to this, understand, like, that is never our intent. We don't ever push it. We shy away from it. And if you've ever been on scene with me, when you arrive, I let you know straight up, look, you're here. My cameras are here. Please don't be weirded out. We are 100% pro law enforcement. We're here to make you look good every step of the way. This is who we are. This is what we do. This is what we're capable of. And, you know, they really, really respect that when they come on. You know, cameras can be an issue, obviously, especially in a crime scene. But once you watch our episodes, you know, you never see anything you're not supposed to see. You never hear conversations that aren't supposed to be heard. And it all comes out very respectful on the back end to protect the law enforcement and the families as well.
And Doug, you're walking a tightrope with that. You really are, and I appreciate it. I watched a lot of your cases, previous cases, and I respect the talent. I mean, look, I'm no diver. I would never be a diver, but that's a talent. Even Mike Carew we had on from the NYPD, he was like, look, diving recreationally is a dangerous sport. It's a dangerous sport. You have to, you know, use your head. You have to have the right equipment with you. And he told tales how at least 3 times he almost died. And one of them was the stupid thing. He didn't bring his scissors with him.
He was in 6 feet of water that time.
Yeah, and he got
Yeah.
wrapped with
5
a
or 6 feet
wire.
of water. Yeah,
Yeah.
Wire got wrapped around him.
I think it
Another
was
time,
fishing wire, wasn't it, Bill?
yeah, fishing,
Yeah,
and he couldn't.
that-
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
That high test fishing line is no joke.
That's what it was.
I've been tangled up so many times. I dive with 3 knives. I dive one on each of my legs, and I have a dry suit hose that comes out of my chest, and I have a knife right there as well. So thankfully, knock on wood, anytime that I've been tangled up, I've been able to free myself because I'm able to, the most critical thing about being underwater, especially in low visibility and being caught up or tangled, is don't panic. Remain calm. Realize how you got to where you are. Try to back yourself out or undo yourself, or calmly, get your scissors or your knife. My knife has a scissor mechanism in it, extremely sharp, and you cut your way through. And you also have to be really trained in being willing to come out of your equipment and surface, because you're not always going to be able to get yourself untangled. I had that happen to me in Philly when I was working with the Delaware County PD on the James Amabile case. We had a $3 million crane that we were diving on, and with rigging dropped down over me, and I was tangled up in the chains and the straps that were there, and there's no cutting out of that. And it was a scary moment for me, and I thought I was going to have to tell the crane operator on my comms to lift me out in the rigging. But thankfully I was able to get free. My mask was ripped off, and I lost a fin. But
How deep were you, Doug? How deep of water?
That was 24 feet.
Well, that's deep enough.
Yeah, and then this is the extremely low visibility and in a strong current. And when I went in with the rigging, the current just braided me up in the rigging, and it just you can't always foresee everything in a recovery, especially one to that magnitude. We were going down, and we discovered this vehicle had been, this James Amabile had been missing for 19 years. He was on his way to pick up his 2 daughters from the babysitter and vanished. And I discovered his vehicle 2 miles from his home, and they built a marina on top of him.
Wow.
They drilled a pylon that's connected to holding the marina up through his vehicle.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's why we had to bring a crane in to get the vehicle out. Before that, though, I was able to go down, and me and Anthony were able to go down and safely remove his remains out of the vehicle prior to the recovery, because the recovery, we couldn't rely on how the recovery would go with a pylon through the vehicle.
How long was he missing for, Doug?
19 years.
Wow. Wow.
So 15 years prior, they could have found him had they known they were drilling through the vehicle. But those hydraulic pylon machines are so powerful that it never knew the vehicle was there. It might have had a slight hesitation at first, but it's normal because they're used to working their way through bedrock and stuff like that.
Now, Doug, when you get your team together and you go on, let's call it a mission, you go on a mission to find someone. Do you have like actually skull sessions, and you sit down and you map everything out, and you assign each team a different area, and you work cohesively as a team, or do you work separately?
Typically we work by ourselves. So we have family there that we come into, and not to sound arrogant, but we come in like nothing's ever been done on the case. Nothing's ever been searched. If we haven't searched it, it hasn't been searched. And we come in with a fresh set of eyes and meet with family. We meet with detectives if we're able to, and go over the facts of the case, and get all the pertinent details, and really try to develop what the professional term is a lost behavior profile. A lost person behavior is critical to define when you're searching for somebody. What are their habits, characteristics, places of frequency that they went to, significant other locations? And we put all these interests on a map. And then, do we have a last known location? What's our X factor in this? Do we have cell phone data? Do we have, their last financial transaction, or so forth? Just really break it down. And then we'll set up a radius, and then we'll identify the bodies of water within that radius that is deep enough to conceal a vehicle, and we'll just go at it. Some areas are very easy because they'll only have one or two waterways. You get down to Florida, and every turn you make, there's another body of water, whether it's in an HOA community or on the side of the road, or it's a lake, it's a river. Or you could get up into Wisconsin where there's hundreds of prairie holes everywhere on the side of the road. So it's all happens. It unfolds organically for us when we come in.
Doug, what you were describing is a lot the same or similar to in a homicide. We list something called a victimology, and that's the study of the background of the victim. And what you were describing is very similar to that. We want to know what are the victim's habits, their where they particularly go, vehicles they own, jobs they work, friends, girlfriends, boyfriends, financial situations. And in the victimology, somewhere will be the answer to the case. Most of the time. Time.
And where we're focusing on finding out the where, a lot of times us theorizing the why leads us there. Like if I know I have a case, like the cold cases are cold because there's nothing else to go off of, I know, okay, if I can find out, did she have a boyfriend? Because that could tie me into a whole nother area to search. Oh, there's a boyfriend's home. Well, let's set up a radius around the boyfriend's home and go that way. And he may or may not be a suspect, but that which you refer to as victimology is you got to really understand the person, their environment, and those in their environment, because that could lead us to a really good search area.
Yeah, it's funny how different disciplines sort of use the same, the same technology and the same, but different verbiage, and
same approach, different verbiage. Yeah. I'm quite impressed. I watched the video with Jolissa Fuentes family, and I was impressed with the questions that you guys asked. I mean, it was right on par with very similar to things that we would be asking. So it's impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, we're just normal guys. We have a little bit of common sense, and we try to learn. Every case is different. Every case is a learning experience, and we don't ever act like we know it all, because we don't know hardly anything compared to what we have the ability to learn outside of what we know. And anytime I get a chance to talk to you guys or anybody else in law enforcement, I'm like a sponge. I know it's critical knowledge that I know nothing about. And any chance I get to, whether it's receiving criticism or just somebody saying, hey, you should say things this way, or you should learn about this. This will help you. I get a lot of representatives with agencies that'll send me like PDFs of stuff that they have from classrooms and stuff like that. And it's all great literature to read and learn, because I guess technically when we are working these cold cases, I mean, we're doing detective work per se. So it's the more we can learn, the better. I'm all for it every step of the way.
Doug, if you go through life as with the posture that you're always a student and never a master, you'll always be open to learning new things. And that's how I think. Even when I used to teach college, I used to tell the students, you guys could teach me as much as I could teach you. I'm sure you know a lot of things that I don't know, and hopefully I know some things that I'm going to teach you. But it's the people that refuse to learn or think they know it all. Those are the people that are the hardest to deal with.
Yeah, my eyes and my eyes and my ears are always open, 100%.
You said something that was critical, Doug. You said every case is different and you want to learn on every case. That's really, really important, because if you go into something with a predetermined idea of what took place, I mean, listen, you're going to have some information. You got to have a direction. But if you made up your mind and you know where this is going, that's not a good way to look at something like a missing person or these type of cases, a homicide even. So having that kind of thinking that, this is a new case, it's not like the old one, it's different, and you're willing to learn, I think that's really, really smart, and that's a positive way to look at it.
Thanks, man. Thanks,
Doug. I'm gonna pull up just a little bit of your video on the Jolissa Fuentes case, and it sort of be the introduction to this. Let me put this up on the screen.
Jolissa's last recorded financial transaction is, as well as the last confirmed sighting of her and or her vehicle occurred. We are now going to jump right over into meeting with Jolissa's aunt, Jolissa's cousin, and Jolissa's mom, so we can get an idea of who Jolissa was as a person, as well as the circumstances leading up to her disappearance. We really appreciate you guys being here and being brave and courageous to tell Jolissa's story. And that's what we're here to do, is be a voice for Jolissa and draw awareness to Jolissa's disappearance. 2 weeks old. There's still so many possibilities in this case. And I don't want to find your daughter. I don't want to find your niece or your cousin. I don't. We want her to still be out there. I want to be able to finish doing what we do and say, you don't have to worry about any of this. You guys can focus efforts and resources in a more efficient manner elsewhere. So I'll let Nick get started with, some of the questions that we need answered, and it'll be really easy, at any point, if there's a moment we need to take a break, just let us know.
Okay, thanks. Like Doug said, we appreciate this. This is going to help us. So to start this off, what we're going to need to know is kind of a little bit of history on Jolissa and her background. So if you can kind of give us a history of like where she was born, where she was from, where did she go to school, what kind of girl she was, what did she do for fun, possible relationships she had, things like that.
She was born here in Selma, California. She went to school here. She graduated, 3 years ago? Mm-hmm. She's 22, so 3 years ago? Yeah, she graduated from Selma High 3 years ago. Jolissa liked to be with her family, spend a lot of time with her cousin. So her cousin knows that area more.
Yeah. She's a very, if she's around, you can't be sad or you can't be mad. You can't hold grudges. She would be like, get over it. Like, you're going to get over it. Like, we're family. Leave it alone, If you're like sad, you're most definitely going to laugh if she's in the room, because she's a very like sarcastic person, very sarcastic. She can't take anything serious. Yeah. Like, she's always joking about something. If you're mad or whatever, she'll make a joke and you'll start laughing. It's just always a good time when she's around,
Life of the party.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Tell her to dance, she'll dance.
Yeah.
Put on this silly hat, she'll put on the silly hat. Do a little, I don't know, some of the videos that I put up of her, she's doing like a little dance, and then she's telling all her brothers, and you do it.
She's very carefree. Like, she doesn't care what anybody thinks about her or what anybody says about her,
Very dependable.
Yes. Very. She's a worker bee, Mm-hmm. She wouldn't miss work. That's why we knew too. When, when she went missing that Monday morning, I went to her job and waited out there just in case she showed up. Just in case she showed up to work,
Yeah.
And when she didn't show up, even more so, our hearts were broken.
Doug, I have you here, so I don't want to show a video of you. But basically, what you guys go through is what we were just talking about. A victimology. You're trying to find out as much as you can about Jolissa, and you're soliciting facts from her family. She has a great family. I mean, they're so resolute. And I believe that she went missing August 7th. Mm-hmm. So it's almost 5 weeks now, right?
Yeah. Almost the same day as Kylie Rodney did, so it's been quite a while. Her cell phone last pinged in the foothills, northeast of Selma, California. It's a mountain range. There's 2 lakes there in that immediate vicinity. Family was really concerned about it. The mayor, the chief of police, and the sheriff's department were really concerned about it. We were able to come in and rule that out. And the second we were done, they announced, a really big criminal investigation, because now there's no what ifs. She's not in those hills. She's not in the
both
water.
of those lakes are cleared, Doug. Both
Yeah,
Pine?
yeah,
Was it
yeah.
Pine Flat and Avocado? Okay.
Yep. So we were able to clear those 2 waterways, and now they're focusing on somebody that took her. Is this human trafficking, sex trafficking, some type of random sicko that's done an abduction? Jolissa, there's someone close in her family several months prior that was abducted by a sex trafficker and then released 5 weeks later. So this is possibly the same scenario, but we know she's not out there in those hills, and somebody's done something. Somebody probably still has her, and now millions of people know her story that didn't know her story. So it's a completely different ball game now for law enforcement when it comes to their investigation.
Doug, that's exactly what we were talking about before. You enabled them by eliminating those bodies of water, by clearing them and searching them, and they cleared the hills. That now they can look. Well, not that they didn't look at that right from the beginning, but now they're more focused on the criminal case and the fact that this could possibly be a human trafficking and actually out and out kidnapping of this young girl.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this is a really tragic and common occurrence in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American and Alaskan communities, because you never hear these stories. If I would have never been outspoken in regards to this case, not many people would know about it. There's these type of organizations specifically target disadvantaged communities because they know they're working with broken homes. Not a lot of exposure is going to be put onto it. And, I'm not trying to bring race into this but unfortunately the media in itself will, as we know, as we just saw, will cover a young, beautiful, blonde-haired, blue-eyed young lady more so than, all the others. And that's just media. It's unfortunate. And it's not done purposely. It's just the way that cookie crumbles, as much as I don't agree with it. But this particular case, and then now millions of people know about it. And we're really hopeful that somebody's going to either let her go or come forward and with something that'll help law enforcement find her.
Well, you absolutely helped to shine a light on it. And that helps a great deal, is that now her picture is out there. It seems like her family is not going to give up. They're going to be, they're going to keep, they're resolute. They're going to keep going until they find this young lady. And look, I know that this isn't just a problem in Selma, California. Human trafficking is a problem all over this country. I remember when I was teaching college, some guy came in from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a detective from there, and he was trying to recruit. And he says, one of our biggest problems is human trafficking. And I was like, Myrtle Beach? That's one of the biggest problems in Myrtle Beach? I was shocked.
Man, yeah. So that's a really beautiful area too.
Yeah.
These human traffickers will target, let's say a minority community or people that aren't legal citizens in the country, because they tend not to call the police and stuff. So again, that's why they're targeting people like that. Doug, maybe you might know more than we know from the little research that I did on this case, but she was at the party till like after 3 a.m. Then there's a period of time she goes to that AM PM gas station. Then there's video surveillance supposedly of her coming back into the town, and they're not really clear about the time on that. Maybe 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I think it was when the grandmother goes to church in the morning, that's when they realize that she's missing. But me as an investigator, my questions would be, and my focus would be, what happened at that party? Who did she leave with? If she left with someone, was there some kind of text messages on her phone that maybe she was going to meet someone? I want to eliminate anybody being, at the party that she may have left with, or maybe she was going to meet someone, before we get into the human trafficking area of what we're talking about, So is there any other information that you might know that we haven't reported on or hasn't been reported publicly in the media?
No, man. I believe it was like 4:06-ish a.m. when she was leaving the gas station.
Right.
She tried to call her sister at 3 something on FaceTime. Her sister was sleeping, unfortunately. So that fell on deaf ears. And she went to the gas station about 45 minutes later. And then 5:24, she made another FaceTime call to her sister. But so we have 4 o'clock-ish to 5:24. There's an hour and 25-minute there window where in that hour span, her car was coming back into town on camera. But when that call went into her sister at 5:24, it was from out in the foothills. So is that cell phone, has that really been analyzed? correctly. The way it was broken down to me didn't really sound like it had really been successfully triangulated enough, because it was like covering a 20-mile area. You know,
Did
Fresno
you answer
County
that
said
call at 526, Doug?
no, her sister was
She
still
didn't
asleep.
answer. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the way cell phone technology works, I'm not 100% on this, but you could be far from a cell tower and it still hits that cell tower. So I don't know if, like you said, if there would have been a connection to the phone, in other words, if someone would have answered her call, that would have gave a more direct location as to where she was when the call was made. However, if the call is not picked up, it could be hitting a cell tower that could be a distance away. I don't know about 20 miles, but it could be not that close to the location. Now, again, are they 100% sure that it's her coming back into town, or her vehicle too? I guess that's yet to be determined.
You know, I in learning that, I didn't know that prior to coming town. So that was a very alarming thing that I had to really like clear up with authorities. You know, so I was able to speak with Chief Alcarez, and we were able to determine that that was prior to the last phone transmission that was out in the foothills. They were confident that it was her in her vehicle, although they're not 100%, because that was my thing. All right, Chief, what do we know? Is it, we know this is her vehicle, but do we know if it was her driving, or do we suspect it not being her? I'm here as a resource. Let me know. Do I need to be out in these foothills, or do I need to be here in town? And we were able to accurately discern that this was before the last cell phone transmission out there. So that let me know that I needed to be out there. And then I was like, well, look, you know you got to play it close to the vest, but am I going out here to look for a car? Am I coming out here to look for a body? And they were confident that if her and her car, if they're out there, you know, it would be her and her car, which led me to believe that they were confident she was still driving the vehicle. Obviously, it's an open investigation, so certain details couldn't be shared. But, you know, like I said, we were able to get out there and rule that out. And, you know, within 72 hours, they announced that they were, you know, full swing criminal investigation and looking into some other investigative things. There's got to be something there. You know, a beautiful 22-year-old young lady just doesn't fall off the face of the earth with her vehicle. Something happened.
Absolutely.
What happened, you know? So
British Chippy, thank you for the $8.99 super chat. Thank you for your time, Doug. And thank you all the Adventures with Purpose for the work you do for humanity. Love you, Phil and Bill. I'm glad you included us in there too. We would have got jealous. But
thank you, British Chippy. I really appreciate it.
And we love that name, by the way, British Chippy. That's a great screen name. Folks, this is Police Off the Cuff, real crime stories. If you're not subscribed to us, go on our YouTube, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, give us a thumbs up. It's free to subscribe. If you want to support us, we have a Patreon with 3 different levels. And if you want to join our YouTube family, we have 5 different levels of our YouTube family. Our guest tonight is Doug Bishop from Adventures with Purpose. Exciting life he's living. I mean, even though, you know, you're doing God's work, you're doing dangerous work, I would imagine you like going to work every day.
You know, I couldn't imagine doing anything else. It's really powerful in providing answers to, you know, for families and law enforcement agencies. There's a lot to that. So I'm always very eager to get back to it. We actually leave here in about a week or so, and we're leaving with 2 teams, not one, but 2 teams. So Jared has put us, the community has put Jared in the position to put us in the position to hopefully have twice the results in half the time moving forward. That's our goal, you know, as many families as we can help possible. That's what our purpose is focused on. And, you know, we're really, you know, always eager to be out and helping families. It's really hard to turn it off. As you guys know, you guys are seasoned, you know, they're retired, and you can't turn it off. It never leaves.
That adrenaline starts flowing. You love it.
You know, Doug, I remember times when I'd come home from not sleeping for 3 days and I couldn't go to sleep. Because you ever been too tired that you can't sleep?
Yes, I have.
But some people won't understand that, but we understand it. You say you're just too tired, you can't sleep.
Yeah, because you that you just get stuck in that, that adrenaline, that it's a zone, that you're in, and it's really hard to turn that off. But it's an honor. Really it is, to be able to use my lifelong experience in the towing industry. Now I'm dealing with cars underwater. It's really, I guess it's really meant to be.
The guys that we used to on the NYPD that worked emergency service, they were always taught that being a rescuer is not just a calling, but it's a privilege. You are privileged to be able to save someone else's life. And I believe that too, to a certain extent. You're privileged. Yeah, you're putting your life on the line, but guess what? There's no bigger prize than saving someone else's life,
Right. Absolutely. And it's the same thing with us, same concept, when we find someone, we are removing decades of pain from families of not knowing. As humans, we are we're calculated to deal with processing depth, whether the death is foul play, accidental, or it's something else. As long as we know, we can process that as a human and move forward. But when we lose somebody that's close to us or that we care about and we don't know, we're not programmed that way, and that's a nightmare. And when we find family members, it's the words can't accurately describe what it is that we're able to provide them. It's powerful. And the detectives that are working these cases, you come in and you solve a case that a detective has, spent his whole life working and hasn't been able to solve, and you're able to solve it. Like that's so powerful for that detective. I can't count how many cases that I've been a part of where that original detective isn't no longer on the force, and that phone call is made to that detective, like, "Hey, Bruce, this case, you remember this case? It just got solved." And like to hear a detective break down, and you never lose that. Everybody that we find, it means a lot. But it's the people that we can't find that stay with me. It's the cases that I can't solve that always sticks with you. It does. I'm not sure if anybody can relate to that. If you guys can,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
it's the ones you can't solve. It's the one I can't find that it really, really messes with me.
Doug, I always tell people that as an investigator assigned to a homicide. Now, you talk about having the privilege. You have the privilege that you have to get justice for someone that's now dead, been murdered. And I could be standing over a dead body in the morning, and by evening, it's happened where I have the person that committed that crime now confessing. And I don't think there's any greater rush as a detective that you could get, knowing that you were standing over a dead body, probably scratching your head, trying to figure out who did this in the morning. And most of the time, it's not that quick, but there have been cases where it's that quick. And now you have the person, you have the evidence, you've recovered the gun, whatever it is, and you have the person confessing to it. I don't think there's any greater feeling that you can have. And you when you get assigned to a homicide investigation, Bill and I always say it: we do God's work, you guys do God's work. And you have a tremendous responsibility to try and get justice for that person. And you're doing it for the family, for the loved ones. That person's gone. They can't feel, the justice, but the family. And a lot of times you bring that justice to that family. And the unsolved cases are the ones that stay with you. There's a couple in my history that I worked on that till this day I try to stay plugged into, even though I'm retired, because I have great knowledge on the case, and I kind of know what direction it was going in. However, they still remain, there's two particular ones that still remain unsolved, and it does trouble you a little bit, but I guess you have to feel good about the ones that you did solve or make the recovery on.
Yeah.
Doug, where do you ever get requested to go to foreign countries?
We've had a lot of requests, and it's something that I can say is what you would call on our vision board. It's just a matter of the growth getting us there. It's definitely, look, our goal, Jared's goal, is to help as many people as possible, as many families, as many agencies as possible. But we're in a grand scheme of things working on a shoestring budget. The donations that come in and if you buy a hat, and we're expanding as we're able to do so. And when the time comes, whether it's funding from the public or funding from the government or another country, we definitely will make that leap. It's only a matter of time, really, really it is.
It's amazing how important your work is, and it's like when you talk about what things get publicly funded and what doesn't, it's the politics of it is just
The study
incredible.
of grasshoppers will get funded, but something
Yeah.
like Adventures with Purpose, which is obviously very, very professional, and obviously they've produced results. Hopefully, we could get some funding from the government for you guys in the future.
Yeah, and I fully I won't rule that out. And I could say that, I would expect that coming down the pipeline. It's just, respect is earned. Really it is. But, law enforcement all over is really encouraged by us. And as we're traveling across the country, it's breathtaking and it's really humbling to be stopped by law enforcement representative after law enforcement representative that takes their time to come out, shake our hands, take a picture with us, and explain to us how much of an inspiration we are to them. There's a lot of people that are watching, a lot of eyes on us, and the recent success is beautiful, and it's really coming full circle. That I expect a lot of law enforcement involvement. I'm in talk with the FBI now. I know about certain aspects in order for us to be a resource for them. And there's several states that have stepped up and want to learn from what it is that we do. And there's a lot that's coming. It's grown. If you're familiar with where we came from and where we are now, there's so much growth and evolvement over the last few years that hats off to Jared and his family for always making sure that this has evolved and that we're growing. The purpose is growing, and we're a vessel of the community. And we really truly are a vessel of the community. We're community funded, community driven. We get our cases, majority of them, from the community. And we do have detectives that reach out to us and so forth. But we're just truly a vessel of the community. It's beautiful because we're utilizing social media, the power of social media, in a positive way. And that's rare. Social media isn't known for being positive. Positivity and good deeds don't sell on social media. It doesn't get you far, but the whole world is supporting us. And
Doug, you're so right. I mean, we used to say not just social media, but the power of even television. I mean, you put something on television and you're reaching millions and millions of people. And now we have this new thing. Well, it's new to us old guys here, called social media. That is incredible. It's incredible. I mean, we used to solve cases when people would brag about what they did on Facebook. A guy would shoot somebody and he'd be bragging about it that night. It's crazy. So, I mean, there's good and bad parts to it, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And there's a lot, we see a lot of rumors being spread, unnecessary bullshit on it. But, I think the good outweighs the bad.
Yes.
It's just like you could find bad with television too. But overall, it's a positive thing.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. And with the internet, like you mentioned, you're going to have people that spread rumors, or you're going to have people that want to criticize you and all of that. But, we don't entertain any of that. We understand that our body of work that we encompass and our character is always going to overshadow that. 100% actions will always speak louder than words.
Doug, a few people in the chat said to me, "Thank God you're retired." I said, "Oh, you're hurting my feelings." I've been shot at, so something. Those words will not bother me. But because I look for science to prove something, not rumor and innuendo.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait for the evidence to come back scientifically.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't like that. They want to spread the rumors and just make up stuff.
That's just a small side effect of the internet. And unfortunately, it's a side effect of success as well. You know, the more good you do in the world, you're gonna create people that are jealousy and envious and they're haters
Right on.
and so forth. So it's expected. But overall, you know, the what's coming on the internet with the sleuthing and the trending true crime community, I think it's beautiful. You know, you might have, you know, 1,000 podcasts going at once talking about the same thing, and you know, some of them are just really radical and out of you know, out of left field, but a lot of them, man, they're uncovering evidence and clues, and they're really beating up those chairs to uncover stuff, and it's I think there's nothing but beauty in it, and there's power in it.
Well, you know, Doug, some of it also does keep law enforcement honest. It makes them do their job because, again, they're shining a spotlight on it.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that.
You know, there's a lot of conspiracy theorists on YouTube and the crime drama shows that we do, or the podcast that we do. But, you know, there's something that comes with experience. And a lot of times from our experience, we could tell by the way a person's telling a story, whether or not it's believable or not. There's a lot of different things that raise red flags with us. And I'm sure same thing with you. When you're using your sonar equipment, you could see something down on the bottom and discern right away, well, that's not what we're looking for. And again, it's like you develop a sixth sense from experience. And that's what we try to do on this podcast is we try to stick to the facts. We try to stick to, you know, our experiences in the past. And a lot of times, we're 100% correct. And then there's other times that we might not be on the right, you know, not having access to the case folder, we might not be on the right track. But again, leave it to the experts and leave it to the people that are professional in the field. And I think that that's what we try to do.
You know, Doug, I just got a nice little comment from Twanda Sioux, California. I'm glad you were retired so we can have this show. Keep trucking.
Nice.
That was nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
The Supreme Commander rule.
You get some nice comments every once in a while too, but
yeah,
Phil,
I mean, you got a lot of people that respect your show, man. You know, credibility is everything. You know, once you lose credibility, it doesn't matter what you've done. You know, you can have a lot of success in your life, but that one incident that can destroy all your credibility and everything you've ever done, because that's all anybody's ever going to remember. I know,
Doug, I'm gonna teach you a copism, and this copism says, 1,000 attaboys don't equal one shit. You've heard that one, right?
yes, I have. Yeah, actually, Jared says that a lot. So,
oh, he does say that.
Yeah, that's a great saying. And it's true. You gotta be careful. You gotta be careful in this day and age. And you know, you're gonna be remembered by your word in your character, and we really focus on it. We care about what we do. We really
you obviously do. Of course you do.
You know what, Doug? I like to give my opinion on things, and if somebody challenges what I'm saying in the chat, I love that because it's like being cross-examined at a trial. If I say this is what I believe, you have something else, you have a differing opinion. Hit me with it. As long as you're being respectful and we can talk and we can have a debate about it, that's fine. But a lot of times people say, well, it can't be this or it can't be that. Tell me why. And then they don't answer you, you know? So, but I really take it as a challenge being when someone challenges what I say, because I'm not 100% on everything. I can't be, nobody's perfect. But so sometimes if somebody challenges you, that challenge might lead you right to the suspect or what it is you're looking for, you know? So again,
I love, you know, common sense, fair criticism, because there's something to learn. There's something to learn there. Okay. You know, we don't know it all. What do you have to say? Well, what can be better, or what are we doing wrong? How can we grow? There's no chips on any shoulders here, because I'm a sponge. I will absorb it. If I can absorb it and be better or learn something to be more efficient, bring it on. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to help. And, you know, I think us being humble, going out of our way to be humble, really is always going to get us further than, you know, being known as guys that, you know, aren't humble. You keep your ears open and your eyes open. And I'm more of I tell this to people, but I'm an introvert. So I'm always listening. I'm always observing. So I'm I'm a sponge at all times. So if you want to criticize, but there's a fine line. Be careful, because if you're going to criticize us unfairly, understand that, the whole world supports us. So, make sure that if you're going to put yourself out there, have something to back it up. All right. Have something make sense. Bring something to the table that's going to better us with this criticism. Because we're good guys trying to do really good things in the world. So, if you're not, our supporters definitely going to let you know about it.
Criticize at your own peril. Phil, get through this quick.
Joe Murray, attorney at law. Have you found yourself in a jam? Are you in need of legal counsel in the New York area? Do you need a victim's advocate? Well, Joe Murray is your man. He's not only an experienced trial attorney, he's also a retired 15-year member of the NYPD. He literally knows both sides of the fence. His website is jmurray-law.com. His telephone number is 646-838-1702. Or you could email Joe at jmurray-law.com.
Doug, I just want to thank you for so much for coming on the show tonight. I mean, we sort of spoke about some different things more generically. We didn't sort of concentrate on one case, and I think that's good. We got to know you better, and really, I just want to say God bless you, because you really do God's work, and I mean that. I really, truthfully mean that.
Thank you.
It's unbelievable, and I'm not a bullshit artist, and I mean what I say. And, I understand how hard the work you do is too. And I don't mean just hard physically. I mean for your head, PTSD type hard, which I always say all of us cops, we did 20, 25, 27 years. I did. We all have a touch of PTSD, and I wear it as a badge of honor, and every once in a while it comes out, and, but hey, we saw some horrendous things in our days, and you have, and you will continue to see some horrendous things. And it's how strong you are and how strong of a family life you have that helps you get over that stuff and get you to live a normal, happy life,
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's definitely tough, but it's perspective. No matter what you're doing in life, no matter where you're at in life, no matter who you are, it's perspective. Your perspective begins and ends right between these two ears. So you can make life as harder than it needs to be. You can make it easier than it needs to be. So, even though we are dealing with tough things, we focus on the positivity that comes from what we're able to do. The families we're helping, the detectives and agencies that we're helping close cases. And that's positive. It's really easy, like I said, to have a bad perspective and this affect an individual in a certain way. Regardless, I know everything has a due date. No matter what we're doing, we're filling our cup up with it. So it's in us no matter what, but it's also up to us to control that perspective. And we're really good at that.
Doug, I love that. You're without knowing you're spewing out copisms. Everything has an expiration date. It's true. I've heard that.
It's
so
like
great.
talking to another cop. It really
But
is.
it's true. It's so true.
You know what, Doug? One quick thing, a little tip about PTSD. I've been through a lot of things. Bill's been through a lot of things. We were at Ground Zero on 9/11. That alone is probably takes up a lot of the space in PTSD in my brain. But I think the key to it was being able to talk about it, get it off your chest, whatever it is. This goes for anybody that's watching. When you suffer something traumatic, and it doesn't have to be personal to you, you find a dead body, that could be traumatic. So again, when you take that in, it has to be released. That's the way it's been explained to me. You have to release it somehow, and everybody releases it differently. For me personally, just saying what was on my mind at different times. I didn't do it right away. But after I retired, I went for some therapy and stuff, and it seemed to really help a lot. So again, you're going to be exposed to some things that are going to be traumatic in nature. Just do the best you can. Like you said, you have your purpose, you have your agenda, and you're able to deal with it. If it should ever creep up on you, don't hesitate to call either Bill or I or anyone around you that you want to speak to. That usually is pretty helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate the advice and wisdom.
And again, Doug, I'm going to end the show now. I know you've been on shows and you're probably ODing from being on podcasts, but I really thank you for coming on tonight. You're a fantastic guest. I think this was a fantastic show tonight. All you folks listening tonight and part of the Police Off the Cuff family, thank you. God bless you. And we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Doug, and everybody stay safe.
Likewise.